Please join me in a big round of applause for Lisa Cheshire, our orchestra director, and our student musicians for the wonderful music in our lobby this evening. Good evening. I'm Vincenzo Ruggiero. I'm in the personnel office of Berea City School District, and it is my honor tonight to welcome you to this alumni celebration. At this time, I would like to invite our student presenters to come forward and to lead us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to recognize our Board of Education members in attendance this evening. President, Mrs. Corey Ferris. Member, Mr. Rick Mack. And member, Dr. Neil Postal. I would also like to recognize a few other folks in the audience. Please stand if you serve on the Hall of Fame Steering Committee. Thank you for your hard work in making this event possible. If you are a past inducted member of the Hall of Fame, please stand to be recognized. We have some. Thank you for being here and supporting our newest inductees this evening. At this time, I would like to introduce Mrs. Corey Ferris, President of the Berea Board of Education.
Boy, that felt like a long walk. Well, good evening, and welcome to the 29th Annual Berea City School District Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame. Welcome to our honored inductees, whether you are here in person or in spirit, along with your families and supporters. Thank you to the Hall of Fame committees for once again providing an incredible, well-rounded list of inductees for which the list of accomplishments is impressive indeed. Tonight we're going to hear the stories of some of our own, those who graduated from our district and went on to become leaders in education, leaders in the military, leaders in their industries, leaders in their communities. If before today you haven't had the opportunity or reason to be in this beautiful new Berea Mid-Park High School, I hope you were able to take a tour that was offered this evening. And I hope that you were as impressed as I with the first-class facilities that we are able to offer our students for years to come. Today, we are no longer graduating Mid-Park Meteors or Berea Braves. This year, we're celebrating 10 years of our combined identity as Titans. Just in the last few years, on a smaller scale, we've been recognizing students and staff who demonstrate the qualities of what it takes to be a Titan, to be extraordinary, by displaying safe, responsible, and respectful actions, showing character, showing leadership, and providing service. And though we can never take away your identity as a meteor or a brave, I know without a doubt that your actions, your character, your leadership, and your service would make us proud to call you a Titan as well. I speak for the entire Board of Education when I say how very proud we all are of what you have accomplished, and we are so happy to honor you here tonight. May you enjoy the celebration of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ferris. It's my pleasure to introduce our Superintendent of Schools, Mrs. Tracy Wheeler.
Said this was over there last year, so you're right, longer walk. So good evening. As the superintendent of the Berea City School District, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you all to this year's Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Tonight we gather to celebrate the remarkable achievements of some of our most accomplished graduates and former staff members who have made significant contributions to their fields, communities, and in our district. Our alumni honorees have achieved great success in their respective fields, and they have served as exceptional role models for current and future students. Their accomplishments have not only brought recognition to themselves, but also to our schools that helped shape them into the outstanding individuals they are today. Our former staff members have also contributed significantly to the success of our district and its students. They left a mark on our community through their dedication and commitment to the success of our students and our schools. All of the honorees here tonight are part of our legacy, and their achievements have helped to shape the future of our district. We are proud of your accomplishments and your contributions, and we are honored to recognize each and every one of you. I would like to extend my warmest congratulations to our distinguished alumni honorees, and thank all of you and all of our guests for being here tonight. And one thing before I go, so this is only my second time of being here because of COVID and everything else, and so I'm excited to be here tonight. And I know that there's been a staple in this program for many, many years, especially as the MC of this program. But I want to just recognize Mr. Ruggiero. He will be retiring at the end of this year, and to fill his spot as the MC, for those of you who have been here in the past, know that that one's going to be a hard one to do. But Vince, we appreciate you and all that you've done for Berea City Schools over the years. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. We will now begin the induction ceremony. Each honoree will be introduced by a student presenter, after which we ask the honoree to come up and receive his or her plaque from the presenter in front of the podium so our photographer can capture the moment. Then the inductee will have a few minutes to share some thoughts, and I will then introduce the next presenter. We have an incredible, bright group of student presenters this evening. These remarkable students may one day find themselves being inducted into this same Hall of Fame. Our first honoree will be inducted posthumously. Here to introduce the family of our next honoree is our first student presenter, Emma Garr. Emma is a junior involved in cross-country, track, Link Crew, the Student Academic Leadership Team, and Academic Challenge. Emma is a leader at Berea Mid-Park High School, serving as a Link Crew Commissioner, Service Pin recipient, cross-country captain, and Academic Challenge captain as well. She serves on the Youth Challenge Volunteer Committee and is a track coach at St. Mary's in Berea. Please welcome Emma.
Thank you, Mr. Ruggiero, and good evening, everyone. Tonight, I have the pleasure of speaking to you about Mr. Paul Adams. His life's work as a decorated veteran, teacher, and 25-year Marine recruitment specialist is impressive in and of itself. But I am not here to read your resume tonight. Mr. Adams has unfortunately since passed, and I did not know him while he was alive. But his personality was so honorable and inimitable that it left behind a legacy for me to connect with. He was a curious person, always open to new experiences, cultures, and perspectives. Though his passionate desire to explore existed with a profound pride for Berea and the Cleveland area. He sparked delight in students, an interest deeper than the pages of a history book. Instead, he brought them through history, using his military experience to inspire a unique education style. The kids he worked with in Cleveland schools connected with their curriculum when he taught real-world application of math through Project Ceylon, which he led. He experienced the world as fully as anyone could and brought his knowledge back to change the lives of students and the Berea community. Paul Adams brought love, excitement, and curiosity with him, whether it was in Bangkok, where he lived for a short period of his life, or Berea. He created community everywhere he went, in whatever disparate populations existed among him. Such a beautiful life provides everyone here today with a lesson on appreciation and tolerance, a legacy Mr. Adams has left with us. I believe that, in recognizing the similarities between those around us and putting aside the minute conflicts, we would make him proud of our community. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District to Mrs. Kathy Adams on behalf of Mr. Paul Adams, a distinguished alumnus of Berea High School, to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame. Let's give a round of applause for Mrs. Kathy Adams.
Paul Sparky Adams Jr., make sure he's a junior, grew up in Berea and absolutely loved going to Berea High School. He participated in track and cross country and lots of history classes. He really was a history buff. He went on to major in college in history and also in international studies for his master's degree. A member of the class of 65, then he went on to Baldwin-Wallace and graduated in 69. He joined the Marine Corps right out of college. Actually, he had his induction ceremony on campus with 3 other gentlemen who were also joining the Marine Corps at that time. Went to serve in the Republic of Vietnam, came back, went and got a master's degree in international studies. He worked as a civilian for U.S. Navy recruiting, and his title was Education Specialist. And that meant he was the liaison individual between the recruiters and the education community for all of Northern Ohio, K through 12. He did that for 29 years. Then he retired and joined BW's staff as the director of annual giving, which meant he was basically a fundraiser. He tried to raise money for the institution to continue the life of Baldwin-Wallace. What did he feel his most memorable experience was? I don't know that he could say that he had one memorable experience. He was fortunate that his father worked for BW and had opportunities to go and teach abroad. So they spent 4 months in Beirut, Lebanon, and during 1963, which would have been between his sophomore and junior year, he went to Thailand and went to the International School of Bangkok for 1 year and then came back to Berea High School. So that was a wonderful experience in terms of learning about the world and everything that's out there outside of Berea, Ohio. I think he took advantage of the opportunities to grow through college, through the International School of Bangkok, learning about different cultures. I think he took advantage of, being in the Marine Corps and learning about leadership and leading young men, and now it's young women too. But back then, not so many women were in the Marine Corps. And just the opportunities to be out there and be with people. He really wanted to learn about other people and other cultures. So those opportunities were wonderful for him. His passion is writing, or was writing. He started writing poetry here at Berea High School the day John F. Kennedy was killed. He wrote a poem, and he actually sent it to Jacqueline Kennedy. So he started that, and he wrote all the time. He wrote down his thoughts, his ideas, things that were important to him that he wanted to remember. So we ended up at the end of his life actually putting together a book of all of some of his stories. And some of them are sad, some of them are sweet, and some of them are very funny. But it's a great way for the children and I to remember him. He wrote a poem to each of his children before they were born. Sort of, this is what I want for you in your life. This is what I want, to have, and what I would like to give you. So those are special, very much so. Follow your passion and what you're interested in and what you're good at and what you enjoy doing, so it becomes not a job that you do 8 to 5, but something that you love doing every day and you don't think about what the clock is doing. And he did that. He did a lot of early morning trips to, somewhere in Western Ohio to help with educating kids and, coming home late at night. So to him it was okay because he was doing what he loved. So I think that's a great thing for young people to do. Pick something that you like doing.
Good evening, everyone. I was fortunate to spend over 40 years with Paul, Sparky, as many of you knew him, Adams, and raise 2 wonderful children, John and Rebecca, both Berea High graduates. Our son, John, is in the audience tonight to help accept this honor with me. I'd like to congratulate all the inductees and their families who are here this evening. Thank you to the board members and the administration of the Berea City School District, the Alumni Hall of Fame Committee, the high school students we met today. They are great young men and women. You should be so very proud of them. And all of you in the audience tonight. Paul lived his life in what he referred to as crystal moments and wrote about these moments. These were moments in his life where he paused and asked the question, what did this moment teach me? I'm going to share some of those moments with you. His parents were kind, loving people who taught their children to look for the good in people. His friends in elementary school were the sons of professionals and blue-collar workers of different races and religions. But that didn't matter to young boys. What mattered to young boys of the elementary age was, could you come out and play ball? This was an informative early crystal moment when he learned acceptance of others and the life skills of negotiation, teamwork, and compromise. Paul loved Berea. Wherever life had led him, it was Berea where he returned. He was introduced to different cultures, religions, and politics when he traveled to Beirut, Lebanon in 1961, and spent a year in Bangkok, Thailand in 1963. Here, other crystal moments formed as he observed and learned about other cultures. We have more traditions in common than we realize, and even if the cultures and traditions are different, we need to respect them. He joined the U.S. Marine Corps in 1969 and was sent to the Republic of Vietnam in 1970. One day he was with his men on Charlie Ridge in Khe Sanh, and he was attempting to locate the best exit strategy when he said, I'm just trying to get us out of here without screwing up. He was sharing this intel with his gunnery sergeant when he said that, and his gunnery sergeant replied, what you really said was, take care of my people. Another crystal moment was formed and eventually became the motto for the remainder of his life. He carried that personal motto through a career with U.S. Navy recruiting and as the director of annual giving at BW, caring for and educating people. He, above all, applied this motto throughout his life with his families and friends and community. It is this motto, take care of your people, John, his sister Becky, and I strive to practice each day to continue to honor his legacy. Thank you all for honoring him tonight. I appreciate it.
Our next student presenter is Hamza Jadala. Hamza is a junior and is a speech and debate competitor, a National Honor Society member, a lead member, and junior executive board director. Hamza founded and currently is the president of the Muslim Student Association Berea Mid-Park High School sector. and has spoken at school events surrounding immigration and Ramadan. Hamza qualified for the Ohio Speech and Debate Association state finals. He was selected to represent Northern Ohio at the National Speech and Debate Association World Championship. He is an established community leader and guide at the Islamic Center of Cleveland. Please welcome Hamza.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today for today's Hall of Fame induction. Thankfully, I was given the opportunity and honor to present Mr. Nathan Cherry. Mr. Cherry is what I like to call the definition of success. His achievements and accolades in architecture is something that is unmatched. To start off, Mr. Cherry is a graduate from two of the world's most prestigious schools. First, Tulane University with a master's degree in architecture, and secondly, Harvard University. Yes, the Harvard University with another master's in urban architecture design. His incredible education level led Mr. Cherry to work and lead on a number of world-renowned projects over his 35 years in planning and executing urban design. From the City of LA Sports and Entertainment District in California, Sochi City Olympic Village in Russia, to even designing Manchester City Soccer Club facilities in the UK, Mr. Cherry has truly done it all. His team won accolades and have been recognized at international level over 50 times throughout his career. But none of these achievements have come easy. When I asked Mr. Cherry just how in the world he could achieve such a level of status, he told me it was simply hard work and a little bit of luck. Mr. Cherry has qualities of grit, dedication, and just flat out a perfect work ethic. Young or old, we can all learn from Mr. Cherry and follow in his footsteps to truly become someone great, someone worthy of the Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District to Mr. Nathan Cherry, a distinguished alumnus of Berea High School, to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame. Please welcome Mr. Nathan Cherry.
My name is Nate Cherry. I graduated from Berea High School in 1981. I'm an architect and a planner. I found my passion through the arts, and specifically drawing. I love to draw ever since I was a little kid, and so I really wanted to find a job or a career where I could draw every day, and that in fact is what's happened. First of all, growing up in Berea and in this community, there's so many people who really looked after me and inspired me and gave me examples of good role models to follow. I think living in a city or a number of cities has really inspired me to really dive into what makes cities work and how they can be improved and how they can help solve our problems of today. Oh, as many as I could. Anybody who believed in me, who could offer me a new experience in related to the field I was interested in, whether that was an internship or working at a new office or going to a new city, I certainly took advantage of it, and I encourage everybody to be as open to new opportunities as they can. Any career you pick, it's going to be a lot of work. If you're going to excel, there are a lot of really smart people just like you who want to achieve good things and make a difference. I think the most important thing is for you to be really passionate about what you do and focus on setting goals and being disciplined about how you achieve those goals every day. Well, I would encourage students to latch on to the teachers who are most passionate, regardless of the topic. Some of the teachers who made the biggest impact on me often taught classes that had nothing to do particularly with my interest, but because of their passion for the subject, I really learned how important it was to follow what is really interesting to you and to pass that along to someone else. The word that comes to mind is gratitude. I feel very grateful for growing up in a community like Berea, where I was exposed to so many new things, but also a community that really took care of me. And so I think we're all very lucky to be here. Well, I have to take a picture for the folks back home. Okay. Well, Hamza, I'll tell you, this is an incredible young man, and if whatever your career aspirations are, if you just want to be a plain salesman, you got a future there too. He's a really remarkable young man, and I look forward to hearing about your career as it develops. Today's my mother's birthday. She's 91 years old today, and I was talking to her yesterday, and she said, "So what is this award for?" And I said, she said, "It's not for citizenship, is it?" And I said, "No, it's kind of like a career achievement award." And she said, "Oh, okay, that makes more sense." Which I didn't really know how to take that, as mothers kind of jab. You don't really understand. But anyway, there was a long pause, and then she said, "You're going to dedicate your speech to me, right?" So this one's for my mom. So I'm going to start with 9 years old, riding my bike to the Triangle from our house, and I ran a stoplight at the corner of Front Street in South Rocky River. I heard a screech of tires and didn't think much more of it. And when I got home, my mother confronted me, and she said, someone called and said that you had run this light, and was that in fact you? And I did what any self-respecting 9-year-old would do, totally denied it. I don't know what you're talking about. So what happened was I was grounded for a week, and it taught me 2 lessons. One, that my parents have real power, and the other is that I was being watched, that this community was taking responsibility for my upbringing as much as my parents were. And really, in functional communities, we're all responsible for each other. It's called a social contract or social fabric, if you will. And this fabric is maintained by leaders in the community. They're called many things, but David Brooks, the writer, calls them weavers, people who weave us together. They establish connection, make us feel all part of something bigger than ourselves. And I'm a beneficiary of many families and many weavers in this community. I want to mention a few. The first is a Trestle family who introduced me to sports and honor around competition. The McCoscos, especially Ted McCosco, who passed a couple years ago, who really introduced me to architecture. And I had my first job with Ted above the Wright building on the Triangle. And he really introduced me like, wow, this is really possible. I can be an architect. The Malakis, especially Neil Malaki and Margie, who really showed me what academic excellence really was in the flesh. And the Whites, especially Ed and Diane White, who always had this incredibly informal, fun-loving manner, even though they had these really intense careers that they were maintaining themselves, and also I was eating them out of house and home. But many of these weavers also had affiliations with these incredible institutions, which are also unique to this place. Baldwin Wallace University, which introduced me to the arts, the public library, books, the Metro Park system to nature and golf, and the Glenn Research Center, really to innovation. I remember seeing that at zero gravity chamber where Galileo's law of falling bodies is proved. It just blew my mind seeing that. And all of this is to say that I believe cities are the greatest invention of mankind. And you might dispute that, but when you think about it, they're really the most remarkable because they're a communal invention, and they're constantly being reinvented. And they teach us two things: the traditions that make civilization continue, and they also expose us to new ideas which make innovation possible. And that's exactly what we need today. Is we have this dual obligation to create a healthy society as well as promote disruption through innovation. And healthy communities do both. So what we're really shooting for as a community is what I would call sustainable abundance. And we have so much work to do, but I do know that this community has so much going for it and is really a big part of the success that we're going to see in the future. So for that, I feel incredible gratitude. So thank you, and go Titans.
Presenting our next inductee is Kendall Broughton. Kendall is a senior involved in basketball. Berea Mid-Park High School leads the Student Athlete Leadership Team and the recent district-wide Leukemia and Lymphoma Society fundraising campaign. Academically, she has achieved summa cum laude. Outside of school, she plays AAU basketball. Please welcome Kendall.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start with a little scenario before I introduce my person. Imagine having to cook a meal for your family. Now, imagine having to cook a meal for 50 people. Do you feel your stress levels rising? Now, imagine having to cook food for an entire school full of children. This may seem like an insurmountable task, but it wasn't for Dolly Hemmer. A BCSD lunch lady for 25 years, Mrs. Hemmer proved to be the heart and soul of whichever school she worked for. She went above and beyond in her work, ensuring that students and teachers were not only properly fed, but had access to fresh, home-cooked meals. Her hardworking nature was not limited to the school kitchen, as she served on both the Berea High Staff Committee and several district staff committees. It is important that Mrs. Hemmer's dedication and contributions to this district do not go unrecognized. We often underestimate the power a smile and a hot meal can have on a student's day, and there are thousands of former students who can attest to Mrs. Hemmer's positive presence in our buildings. That is why it is my honor to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District to Mrs. Dolly Hemmer, a distinguished honorary alumna, to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame.
Well, my name is Dolores Hemmer. My nickname is Dolly. That's what I've always gone by. I never graduated from Berea High. I was the lunch lady here. I was the manager. I retired as the manager. I have 3 children who graduated here. And I also have 3.5 grandchildren who will graduate from here. I had a lot of opportunities to meet so many people. I met so many different staff members. I met so many students. I got to be on committees that most in the past cafeteria workers were not on. And I was very proud of that. I have no idea how I organized it all. You just know that it needs to get done and you do it. And plus there were a lot of people before me that laid it out, and you just follow what they do and what they did, make tweak it here and there, and you can get a lot accomplished. Feed them and they shall come. And everything we do is around food. I mean, every holiday we have is around food. Birthdays, Christmas, Easter, Hanukkah, they're all around food. And around food you make friends, around food you become open and conversation takes place. And I think that's what makes what I did worth it. I can't really mention, I don't have one memorable moment that I can say or that I can think of off the top of my head. There are just so many. I just really don't, I can't think of one. And I've been thinking of this for a while, trying to come up with one. And I can't even think of a minimal one. Everything was special. Any advice I would have to give would just be to listen. Whether you're an employee or a boss, or a parent or a child, an aunt, an uncle, grandma, grandpa, if you just listen. As a manager, I had a lot of things to do and to accomplish, but if I didn't listen to the students, if I didn't listen to the staff, if I didn't listen to my immediate co-workers, things wouldn't have got done. They have good ideas. Everybody has good ideas. Some are not so good, but listen, and you can get a lot done. Yet that I'm very proud to have been an employee at the Berea School District. That was my grandson. That was my grandson, my favorite grandson, who walked me up here. He's a sophomore here at the high school, and he's also my only grandson. What an honor to be recognized. I'm still in it. The last time I had to speak in public was my granddaughter's wedding, and I couldn't get through that without crying. So here we go. It's an honor to be recognized by the school district. I loved being a lunch lady. The people I worked with over the years deserve a lot of credit for this award besides me. They put up with my ideas that helped me achieve many things in and out of the lunchroom. I had a tendency to ask for forgiveness rather than permission to get things done, and they were usually received pretty well. Some of you may remember the hot cinnamon rolls we used to make in the morning. After baking the rolls, they were brushed with butter, frosted. There was an all-day meeting over at the board office, and we were to provide breakfast and lunch. After the delivery was made, I realized that the cinnamon rolls were brushed with garlic butter. When I returned to the meeting room to do the lunch delivery, I opened the doors, and what an aroma of garlic. It was unbelievable. But apparently nobody noticed because several people came up and said how delicious they were. I am here to apologize for that mistake. Sorry, people. Being allowed to feed and befriend the students in the maintenance department, the custodial department, the teachers, the board office, the aides, as well as outside groups at the school, at meetings and events, very special and many memorable moments. Years ago, I had asked if Marie Stewicki to be nominated for this award, but it was inferred that lunch ladies were not eligible. Now here I am, getting an award that many before me deserved. Who knew when Ken Clickinger hired me, I would be standing here receiving such a wonderful honor. Thank you, Berea School District, for the wonderful years of employment and enjoyment. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Miriam Myers. Miriam is part of the student athletic leadership team through her involvement in track and field. She serves on the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. She's also a student ambassador and serves as a lead executive. Please welcome Miriam.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miriam Myers, and I'm a senior here at Berea Mid-Park High School. I am honored to be able to speak briefly about the commendable Linda Leslie Moss. Miss Linda Leslie Moss graduated from Mid-Park High School, go Meteors, in Miami University, Ohio, with a Bachelor's of Science in Marketing and Economics and an MBA. However, fun fact, she started off as a physics major. Once finished with college, Miss Linda pursued a career in marketing. Brace yourself, people. This is a big one. She currently serves as the Chief Business Development and Marketing Officer at Dakima and a leading national corporate law firm. I know, wow. With this well-earned title, Linda and her team have also earned many awards such as the following: recognition for creative and effective branding, client development programs, event activation, content campaigns, and the list goes on and on. As I got to meet and learn more about Miss Linda, I quickly came to realize that behind the accomplished businesswoman is a woman who is beautiful, kind, full of wisdom, and inspiring to the generations behind her. Miss Linda is big on family, which is one of the many things we have in common. She loves spending time with her husband and 2 sons, and even told me about the tradition they have as a family, where every Sunday they take the time and cook a meal together. Miss Linda loves helping others, whether trying to make a boring meeting into a creative space where ideas can grow with games, or simply talking to a colleague she recognizes is not as social. She even said that if she weren't in marketing, she would pursue something in nutrition and help figure out how our diet can affect our internal health. Once again, helping others. As I come to the end of what was supposed to be a brief induction, I want to end with this. As you can see in her bio, she has accomplished so much in her career. This is because of her compassion for her job and her ability to continue learning and having fun throughout her career. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District to Mrs. Linda Leslie Moss, a distinguished alumna of Mid-Park High School, to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame.
So I'm Linda Moss, and I'm a 1984 graduate of Mid-Park. And currently I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Dykema, which is a national law firm. But I've lived my entire life here in Middleburg, except for the last 3 years when we just moved to Bay Village. I think I looked for a place where I could make a big impact. And I didn't even know legal marketing was a thing until I actually found I was kind of good at it. And I think what allowed me to do that is to understand people's different perspectives. In order to successfully lead initiatives and to change behavior, I need to understand the perspectives of the attorneys who are not inclined to do business development or marketing. IT, I need to speak finance and HR, and then ultimately connect the dots so that we're all rowing in the same direction. A set of experiences at Mid-Park that led me to pursue my current career is when we housed foreign exchange students all through high school. We had students come live with us for the year, one from Ireland and one from New Zealand, and we're still in touch with those folks today. They're family friends. But that really taught me, again, to see others' perspectives and to be able to adapt and just put yourself out there like those folks did and just stay curious. What I liked so much about physics was that a formula could determine the future. How high would the ball bounce? How loud would the sound be amplified? That's all known through an equation. And I look to change in the same way. What is the path to change to lead the results that you're looking for? And it's not exactly formulaic, but there are tricks I've learned along the way to be able to affect change to meet our goals. My advice for students now, especially now, would be to thoughtfully address conflict. You know, in these times of vitriol, it's easy just to take a stand, or the opposite, to just nullify a person's argument by being passive-aggressive. And I think having an earnest discussion that will help people to understand a different perspective and lead to compromise is so important now and will be in the future as well. Well, thank you, Miriam. Miriam is quite accomplished herself. In fact, she has a full scholarship to OSU next year. And thank you to the committee, the alumni staff, and specifically Nancy Rilo for nominating me for this award. You know, it's hard to believe it's been 40 years since I've been a high schooler. To me, that seems like something someone old should say. I guess I qualify. Anyway, what I think got me on the radar of the nomination committee is the legal marketing awards that Miriam was speaking about. I am quite proud that my team and I have the most legal marketing awards over the last 6 years than any other law firm in America. And I thought it would be fun, just briefly, to reflect on how I think the success I have in that field was started and fostered at Mid-Park. First off, I've always been a big believer as a manager in helping others to find their strengths, and then I work to foster them so they can really shine. And I believe that Mid-Park gave me the opportunity to discover mine. There's such a broad spectrum of curriculum and such strong counselor support that I was able to determine what my strengths were and then further grow and pursue those. Also, I believe Mid-Park taught me to respect others' perspectives. My family hosted foreign exchange students 2 whole years when I was a student, one from New Zealand and one from Ireland. And I watched as those students had to adapt to their new environment and discover new perspectives themselves. And I think this helps me greatly in my current role, where I have to understand how attorneys think, how IT thinks, how finance thinks, et cetera, in order to have everybody come to the table to make successful change. And speaking of change, I think also Mid-Park helped me to adapt to change. Leaving high school can be a little bit scary. I didn't know what I wanted to do. You heard I started as a physics major. But again, the counseling staff really helped to make that transition to get me successfully launched in my college career. So those are just some examples of ways that I believe that Mid-Park has helped me to be successful. And you know, maybe potentially a unique situation is that I not only experienced Mid-Park as a student, but as a parent. I like this community so much. My husband and I raised our 2 children here. And in fact, my oldest son, Eric, is a graduate of Mid-Park, the last graduating class. He was named Mr. Mid-Park, and because there's no other graduating class, he remains the reigning Mr. Mid-Park. And thank you to my other son, Sean, and husband, Fred, for being here, and all of you for making this evening so special. Thank you.
Our next honoree will be inducted posthumously. Here to introduce the representative of our next honoree is student presenter Brooke Bechtel. Brooke is a senior involved in cross-country and track. She serves as the corresponding secretary of National Honor Society. She also serves on the Superintendent Student Advisory Committee and the Student Athlete Leadership Team. She's a link leader, has achieved magna cum laude, and achieved academic All-Ohio cross-country. She was named the Student Visionary Candidate of the Year for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Welcome, Brooke.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brooke Bechtel, and I'm honored to be a student presenter for the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame. Tonight, I will be sharing the accomplishments of Bela Molnar. Bela was born and raised in Lorain, Ohio, where he always knew growing up that he wanted to be a teacher. Bela graduated from Clearview High School in 1969. He then attended Heidelberg College, majoring in health and physical education. Bela began his teaching career at Ford Junior High School as a health and PE teacher, along with coaching the football, baseball, and wrestling teams. While working in Berea, he met his wife, Nancy, at a Berea City Schools in service in 1974. They were married for 44 wonderful years. Bela obtained his secondary administration degree from Cleveland State University in 1974 and ended his career as principal of Mid-Park High School, retiring in 2008. Bela loved sports and played football in high school and at Heidelberg College. He was very proud to be inducted into the Clearview High School's Athletic Wall of Fame. He was also beyond proud to be part of Heidelberg College's 1972 Stag Bowl National Championship football team. Bela's love for football never disappeared. He loved attending the weekly high school football teams. As an administrator and even in retirement, you could always count on seeing him at a Friday night football game. According to his daughter, Mindy Monar, her dad was most proud of being a husband, father, and grandfather. In her own words, she told me that he was a doting father, and my mom, Nancy, was always right by his side. He was an amazing role model to my brother Eric and I, and in retirement, he loved spending time playing with his grandsons Brady and Kyle. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District's Alumni Hall of Berea City School District to the family of Bela Monar, a distinguished alumnus to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame. Accepting on their behalf is Darren Weimer. And perhaps Mr. Weimer can share with you about Bela's rhinos.
Bela's Rhinos. Bela found a sales book, and the book was called Rhinoceros Success. And basically it said, you have a choice in life. You could be a rhinoceros or a cow. And if you're a rhinoceros, you have thick skin, a big horn, you weigh several thousand pounds, and you charge forward, and whatever gets in your way either gets out of your way or gets run over. Or you could be a cow and be in a pasture and just let life pass you by, get milked, and eventually get slaughtered. He chose to be a rhino and surrounded himself with rhinos and required me as his assistant principal to read that book. And so throughout his life, he had rhinos and people bought him rhinos. So that's the story. On behalf of Bela and his family, I'm really honored to be able to accept this award for them. If I could speak for Bela, he would say he's just so thankful to his family. He'd be thankful to Nancy for her support over the years. Nancy passed away just a few months ago. He'd be so thankful to Eric and Mindy for their support. It's not easy being a high school principal's kid, especially when your dad's the principal of the high school you attend, and that was their circumstance. And I'm sure that he would be enormously proud to share this evening with Brady and Kyle, his grandsons. So on his behalf and on the family's behalf, thank you. I think Bela would also want to thank Dr. Andrusek, who was the superintendent at the time that he was hired. When I worked with Bela side by side at Copley, he talked about Dr. Andrusek almost as much as he talked about our current superintendent. He really had high regard for him. He'd also want to thank Dr. Connell, because Dr. Connell was the one that brought him back into the Berea City School District as the principal at Mid-Park High School. I think he'd also want to thank Neil Heshe. Neil was a longtime friend of Bela's and a significant supporter all throughout his career. I think he'd want to thank his staff for all their support. He was proud of the staff. When we would have meetings at the central office here in Berea, Bela would be proud of his staff, and he would stick up for them. He would advocate for his staff because he believed in them. I think he especially would be thankful and appreciative of his office team that supported him through the 10 years that he was the principal here at Mid-Park. And finally, I think most importantly, he'd express his appreciation to the students that he got to serve and their families. Because centered in his life, his professional life, were the students. They came first. I was lucky enough to work with Bela after my 4th year of teaching. He moved me. He was the high school principal, and he moved me from the middle school to the high school. I did not want to leave middle school. I did not want to teach high school. I loved middle school kids, but I ended up teaching high school, and Bela was my principal. And after 3 years, I became his assistant principal. He loved being a principal. He stated to me over and over again, I don't want any other job than being a principal. This is what I was meant to do. I'm not interested in any other job in education except high school principal. He was a guy who was born to be a high school principal. Who else would buy orange and brown neckties like Bela did? He had more than you could even imagine. He was a teacher first. And I'd like to share just a couple examples of his teaching. He and I were walking through the cafeteria one day, and this was not in Berea, but the folks in Berea can appreciate this. We're walking through the cafeteria at the end of the school day, and there was a student sitting on the cafeteria table. Dolly, you'll appreciate this. And I said, "Get off the table." And the kid kind of looked at me, and I said, "Get off the table." I did not want students sitting on the cafeteria tables. We turned the corner, and the student got off the table, and we turned the corner, and Bela stopped me and turned me, looked me in the eye. He said, "Don't ever do that again." He says, "You tell him what you want." And what you wanted was for him to sit in a chair. Tell him, "Please sit in a chair." Don't tell him what he's doing wrong. Tell him what you want him to do right. And I said, I just wanted him to get off the table. I didn't want him sitting on I didn't care where he sat. And he didn't find that funny. I appreciate that you did. I mean, he didn't find that funny. And he, again, dressed me down. And I remember that. I mean, I still get sweaty palms from that encounter because he was direct to me and it was impactful. Because what he was teaching me is teach kids what you expect them to do. And when you ask them that over and over again, they'll eventually perform to those expectations. And that stayed with me throughout my career. He also was really proud that he trained 8 or 9 assistant principals to become principals, and I happened to be one of those. And he would oftentimes exclaim that, look at how many people have worked with me that have gone on to lead other buildings. And he was very proud of being that teacher. He also loved humor. He loved putting out the weekly comic in the staff bulletin. He found them a lot funnier than most of the people did that were working with him. One time, the police department came into the building, and they had a stack of torn up flyers. And it said, senior end of the year keg party. And they had been hung up all over town. And the police officer said, we found these, and we followed the map, and they were at Bela's house. So the keg party, the kids had done a senior prank where they had put these signs up everywhere to have a keg party at his house. And it was a great senior prank, right? It was novel and funny. And Bela called a group of seniors down to the office, just random group of kids. We had no idea who put these up. But the kids all knew what was going on, and we had these all laying out on the table, and they were worried. And he just said to them, okay, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen. And he said, and even funnier, I don't drink. So, which he didn't. But that was his sense of humor. Another sense of humor, one year we had many levy failures, and we didn't have advisors. And so Mr. Monar and I were the varsity club advisors. At the end of the year, we decided to have a end of the year varsity club swim party in the school swim pool. And so we're down there with all the kids at the end of the day, and we're having a party. It's a picnic and so on. And one of the kids decides to push Bela in the pool. Bela doesn't swim. I didn't know that. He went to the bottom of the pool like a rock. And initially, everybody was like, oh, look at it. And then it's like, oh, no. And the most diminutive female athlete in the school dove into the pool and pulled Bela out. And, of course, he was terrified. And the kids that did it were also terrified because if you ever met Bela, he was a large man. And other than being upset and terrified, he wasn't angry. He didn't get angry with the kids. Right? He kept his composure and said, "Doggone it, I don't know how to swim. Don't do that. You got to make sure people know how to swim." And rather than berating the kids and ruining it and terrifying them, he used it as a teaching moment and approached it with maturity that I've always admired. He knew the name of every student. That's remarkable. He would know every student. There were 1,200 students at Mid-Park. He knew their names. He took pride in that. He said to me that he felt it was important. Kids need to know that I know who they are. It was important to him. He was present for everything. He went to every event. He went to every play, every musical, every game. He was there. He wanted the students to know. He enjoyed it. He wanted to be part of it. He loved being part of the school. And finally, I would just share with you that Bay was a good guy. A couple of people said that to me tonight, and he was. He was one of the good guys. A solid man you could count on, never shied away from a difficult decision, weighed options, and always chose to make the right decision, to go the right way, not necessarily the easy way, not necessarily the way that would placate a noisy audience. He would choose to do the right thing. He was a man of character. So on behalf of Bela and his family, he thanks you for this honor.
If I may take just a moment to share with you what I'm feeling right now, because I think it will echo the sentiments that each and every one of us are feeling. Whether it be as a family member, a colleague, staff member, a student, there's a lot of pride here tonight, a lot of pride and honor. Our alumni that are being inducted, our Hall of Fame inductees, are a testament to the daily efforts and commitment of all our teachers. You inspired us to continue those same efforts with the next class of students. We are proud to say that you're a product of our school district. You continue to be role models for our students so they can aspire for those same achievements. As colleagues, we support one another, we learn from one another. I can speak from my own experience with the most recent inductee and others that are here tonight. You shape our lives, just like each of our teachers have shaped the lives of all our inductees. Thank you for being here tonight. We are truly proud of you. Unfortunately, our next honoree could not be in attendance this evening. Here to introduce a representative on her behalf is a student presenter, Austin Shaw. Austin is involved in the marching band, drama club, yearbook club, and serves as a link leader. He is part of the Titan Studio and is a video morning announcement host. He was a Camp Mybrobe counselor. Austin also received a Business Professionals of America Top 20 Video Award. Outside of school, Austin works at Giant Eagle. Please welcome Austin.
Hello, and thank you for being here. Publishing is not an easy job. Thinking of things to say for so many people, you can't make too many mistakes. Cynthia published the newspaper, The Community Voice. She did so well at this, she won a Woman of the Year award from the National Association of Professional Women for work in publishing. She has also done amazing work in the Northern Ohio area Chamber of Commerce in Middleburg Heights. She helped the chamber grow in member size and was key in organizing the Vietnam Traveling Wall to come to Middleburg Heights, as you may have seen it in 2016. Upon talking to her, it is obvious that she's a caring, sympathetic person and very humble, believing that she only did her job when she found out she won this award. While it's true she was doing her job, she did it with such great importance that I'm personally shocked she hadn't won sooner. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District to Ms. Kristen Ellis on behalf of Ms. Cynthia Mondak Peck, a distinguished alumna of Mid-Park High School, to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame.
This is just beautiful, by the way. I just want to thank the Berea City School District for allowing me the great honor to accept this award on Cindy's behalf. And my only hope is that I can just give you a glimpse into, and excuse me for being emotional, what a remarkable person she is. I wanted to start with a little gratitude from Cindy herself. She wanted to thank the Berea Mid-Park High School and City District for this amazing award, and she regrets not being able to be in attendance. She wishes a hearty congratulations to all the distinguished alumni, winners, and staff. I remember one of the first things Cindy ever said to me. I don't do small, which humored me considering she's 5'2" and I tower over her. However, this is important because it not only shaped my understanding, my admiration, and my utmost respect for her, but it also made me reflect on her uncanny ability to let nothing impede her goals and her vision. So let me share some examples. Yes, she owned a publication business, which was a free public local newspaper, and totally supported by local businesses' advertisement. Her staff was comprised of women who came from unfortunate circumstances that were retrained and given an opportunity to learn new skills in various roles throughout her company. She led a project being one of the largest city events in Middleburg Heights, the AVTT Vietnam Traveling Wall in 2016. It was a 7-day event, and over the course of that time, we raised $52,000, which $15,000 was given to various veteran organizations. She organized one of the most memorable chamber meetings titled Human Trafficking, It Happens Here, an event that showcased a panel discussion with notable city, county, state leaders, and accounts from liberated victims about the abductions that occur right here in our city. This event was such a success, other organizations used her format to model from. She organized morning chamber chat discussions for members who couldn't attend afternoon gatherings and events. She also increased the membership by informing everyone, new and seasoned members, to take advantage of the benefits of belonging. Cindy progressed the Middleburg Heights Chamber into the digital age, making information more accessible to members and to the community. And those are just a few examples of how Cindy has influenced and made an impact for the good of others in the community. She undoubtedly brings a sense of connectedness, understanding, and poise, while providing others opportunities to be heard, inspired, and feel supported. I have heard leaders are everywhere. Good leaders are abundant. Great leaders are rare. Great leaders show you what you're capable of doing. They don't just tell you what you can do. Cindy was selfless, unconditional. She helped others find their greatness in themselves. Great leaders make you believe that you're great, not just tell you that you are. Cindy instills the belief in greatness and brings awareness to others of their immense capabilities and potential. Great leaders disrupt, not just build. Cindy is an innovator, and I have witnessed her build something out of nothing and create grandiosity out of simplicity. Being disruptive takes ingenuity, innovation, and the courage to be different. Great leaders turn a team's weakness into strengths, not just find solutions to the weaknesses. Cindy has a strong passion to make a difference, and it takes resourcefulness, originality, and fearlessness to see beyond what is presented to you. I leave you with one final quote, which is also in the program. Cindy's often said, "They told me I couldn't, so I did," to some variation. I encourage all of you to be authentic, trust in your abilities, stand for what you believe is right, and dream big. On behalf of Cindy, thank you very much.
Our next student presenter is Nicole Wong. Nicole is a senior involved in student council and is a senior class executive. She's in the National Honor Society and is a student ambassador. Nicole also serves on the student athletic leadership team. Please welcome Nicole.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Huang. I am a senior at Brea Mid-Park High School. Today, I am pleased to introduce Mid-Park graduate Mr. Adam Ross. Have you ever wanted to travel all around the world and still get paid to do it? Because I have, and those are the opportunities that Mr. Adam has had. Traveling from Hawaii to Paris, Shanghai, and more, I got to hear all those fun stories and learn that parts of Europe look just like Ohio. Mr. Ross earned his Bachelor's of Art in Political Science at Bowling Green State University and his Master's in Labor Relations and Human Resources at Cleveland State University. After college, he started his career off working at NASA in the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. While working at NASA, he received several awards for his work in driving diversity in global R&D, establishing world-class developments for technical professionals, innovations initiatives, and improving the culture at NASA. Now, I can go on and on about Mr. Ross's great accomplishments, but we would be here for hours. Earlier today, I got to sit down with Mr. Ross to get to know him beyond what's written on a piece of paper. I asked him what the best part of his job was, and he said he loves to see people happy and succeeding in their jobs. I connected with this because I love to help others in all aspects. Although he has this career now, he used to have an interest in biology, and he came to the realization that that was not something he wanted to do for the rest of his life. I believe that this goes to show that you can always keep an open mind and see what life has to offer. Mr. Ross would sacrifice 18 hours of his day to get to where he is now. And this goes to show that with determination and strength, you can be successful in anything you set your mind to. In the time I shared with Mr. Adams, I learned a handful of useful life skills, and one day I hope to be as happy and successful. So thank you, Mr. Ross, for giving me your time. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School Districts to Mr. Adam Ross, a distinguished honorary alumnus of Mid-Park High School, to be officially inducted in the Berea Mid-Park High School Alumni Hall of Fame.
My name is Adam Ross. I'm a graduate of Mid-Park High School, class of 1998. I'm a vice president for a company called Tenneco that makes automotive parts. I went to Bowling Green State University, graduated 2002, and then have a master's from Cleveland State University in 2004. I've had a really great career where I've had the chance to build out some really excellent organizations and develop a lot of really great people. I've had a chance to work at NASA. I've worked for the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, and also the Monsanto Company. So that's me. So what advice I would give students now would be to take your time and not rush to grow up. Enjoy your time in high school. Enjoy college. Don't be in a hurry to figure out your entire life. You've got a long life to live. You'll live longer than my generation will, and you don't have to have everything figured out by the time you're 20 or 30 years old. So take your time, figure out what you want to be, and that's probably the best way you're going to have a happy life. So what school experience led me to my success? I was thinking about this in the car on the ride over here. I figured you might ask this question, and I drove past RAIM. And I started in the Berea City School Districts in the 6th grade. And in the 7th grade, Peg Johnston, who was the faculty advisor for student council, had encouraged me to join student council. And since I'm in the job of developing leaders and leading teams myself, that was actually the very first time I ever had a chance to do that. And then in 8th grade, I joined the executive council. And then all 4 years of high school, I was on the executive committee. So when I think about where my career in leadership started, it actually started here in the Berea City Schools in 7th grade. What opportunities did I take advantage of in school? So I was very big into performing arts, so I was in music. I came from a very musical family, so I was in band and orchestra. I acted. I was in choir. I was in the Mid-Park Magic. So I did a lot of those kind of things. I was also an editor for the Mid-Park Monitor. And then I'm trying to think back. I also was the guy who did the morning announcements for a while. So I took a lot of opportunities just to kind of be in front and lead and just kind of put myself out there. So it was, and I think it was a really great experience looking back on it. So I've had a very fortunate career. I joined NASA right out of grad school, and it was a year after the tragic loss of the Columbia Space Shuttle. And when I joined NASA as the new guy, they always give the new guy the hard project. And so since all my colleagues had actually worked on a lot of the culture improvement and fixing things for Challenger, they said, let's give the Columbia project to Adam. So very early on in my career, 6 years out of Mid-Park, I had a chance to lead cultural improvement at NASA Glenn Research Center and working on return to flight. And that led me down a path of developing leaders and executives to where I'm at today. So I moved on from that to becoming, the consulting partner for engineering and R&D at NASA. And then, from there, I just decided that I wanted to do a little bit more, and I went into to the public sector and kind of graduated from NASA into my first executive job at the Monsanto company, leading talent management for R&D for Monsanto when it was very big. And then from there, it just kind of continued. Like I just kind of built on that career and went on to rebuild a lot of the HR function at Goodyear. And then I had my first real big executive job when I went to Tenneco in 2018 to lead talent for that organization, and I actually had a chance to merge Tenneco with its competitor Federal Mogul, and I got to lead that M&A. So that's been my career. So how did I find my passion? I'm passionate about developing people and developing organizations and making work someplace that you want to go every day. And I really found that early on in my career, I had the opportunity to work for one of the best organizations on planet Earth when I had a chance to work for NASA. And that gave me the opportunity to really see an organization at its best and to work with the smartest people in the world in an environment where people came together to help each other out to solve humanity-sized problems. And that really just got me interested in the work that I've been doing for the last 20 years. And that is, I would say that's probably the pivotal kind of place where I found my passion. When I think about my success as a person, right, or career aside, when I think back to what it's all rooted in, it's actually my time here. So a lot of times people will say that they had their best time in college or high school, whatever, college, whatever. I figured it out when I got out. But when I think about the experiences and the things that really made me me, started to become me when I was at Mid-Park. I had a chance to lead a lot of things. I had a chance to figure out who I was as a person. And I think that it's an important time when you're in high school, when you're to figure out who you are. And you don't have to have all the answers when you leave, but it's a place to explore, and it's been a very important. Being at Mid-Park has been a very important part of my life. I guess I should figure out what I want to say. Thank you, Nicole. I think that was a great introduction. It feels weird to be here. I was a couple of weeks ago. I posted on Facebook, which I feel like dates me that I still use Facebook, because I think there's other things the kids use these days. That I was being inducted today, and so I got a lot of congratulations and good job, whatever. And finally, one of my classmates posted, "For what?" And I had to stop and think about it for a second, because when I got the call from Mr. Mack, I was like, oh, I'm very honored, I'm very humbled, and but I wasn't quite sure. And so first I want to thank my wife, Mandy Corrigan, who graduated the year after me, for nominating me. I should go back and read the nomination letter, because I wasn't aware that she had done it. And basically, she put forward me for what I just think is my job and what I'm supposed to do, and that's helping take care of others. I have the great fortune of having a really just amazing career, traveling around the world, working with some of the world's smartest people, helping organizations to grow and get better. And I feel like that's just what I'm supposed to do. So I want to thank her for nominating me. I want to thank the nominating committee for accepting me in the Berea City Schools for this honor. I also want to thank my family and friends for being here and congratulate the other nominees. As I was driving in today, I was thinking about, how, my time at Mid-Park and even before that at RAIM had contributed to who I am today and what I get to do. And I drove past Rame earlier today, well, what's left of Rame, what's left of Rame. And I remember we had moved to the Berea City Schools when I was in 6th grade. It's when you kind of move in middle school, you don't really know anyone, especially in such a tight-knit community as this. And so when I got to 7th grade, Peg Johnson, who was my science teacher, had encouraged me to join student council. And when I think about it, that was really the first time I'd ever really stepped into being a leader. And so then the next year I was elected to the executive committee of student council. And then I just, as I went into Mid-Park, I became a class executive, and I was an executive for all 4 years. I became the president of the band. And there were just all these opportunities that I was given right here to be able to be a leader and perfect my craft. And really my craft is just helping bring the best out of other leaders. And there have been many times throughout my professional and personal life where I've reflected on my time, giving speeches like this, and I sometimes would psych myself out. I try to pump myself up, and I was thinking about before a concert, maybe senior year, I was outside, kind of getting in the mode to perform a solo, and Mr. Weimer was coming in the building, and he's like, "What? Are you okay?" Because I was getting kind of psyched out. I'm like, "No, I'm good." And so we had the concert, I gave the solo, and afterwards he pulled me aside. I get it now. You were psyching yourself out. So I have these just wonderful memories of my time, and just even ideas that I brought with me into my professional life. So, I had a good run at NASA for about a decade, and I had a chance to work with leaders there, and we would often pull together people to do retreats. And when people would say, "Well, where do you want to have it?" And I would think back to my time at Camp Nairobi, and I'd say, "Let's do it at a state park, or let's go to a federal reservation and have the retreat there. I know how to make that work." And so I would reflect on my time of being a Nairobi counselor. And then just other times when I've given speeches like these, I think back to, I tend to get a little bit nervous before I have to speak publicly, and I think back to my drama teacher, Tim Peebles, saying, "You're an actor, you can do anything." So it's just my time at Mid-Park, and everything that I picked up from the faculty and my fellow students, I think really helped to shape and mold me to the person I am today. And I'm very grateful for this honor, and I just want to thank the faculty and staff for helping me to become the person I am. So thank you very much.
Just a little trip down memory lane there, but that's all right. This was a last-minute change with our next presenter from what is listed in your program. Presenting our next inductee is Renee LaPerga. Renee is a senior involved in the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, National Honor Society, Student Council, Video Broadcast and News Journalism, and the Realizing Your Potential program. Outside of school, Renee serves on the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo Youth Advisory Council. She was also a student ambassador for the 69th Annual Humanitarian Award Celebration for Diversity of Northeast Ohio. Please welcome Renee.
The passion people have for where they originate is so strong that it can become a catalyst for achieving incredible feats. Not only is the next Hall of Fame inductee known as the Berea Girl or the Donut Queen, Mrs. Judith Stahl is a woman of power and exemplifies the importance of service. As many of you already know, having a child is high maintenance, which can cause trouble to families who cannot afford such. To help families struggling with this, Mrs. Stahl collected used t-shirts to be sent to South America, where women desperately needed these materials for makeshift diapers to aid their infant children. Additionally, she implemented a project under the Alumni Association that provides college scholarships for high school seniors in the United States. Moreover, her compassion for the youth is astounding. Consequently, she led a literacy project for children in low-income households. This pertains to receiving books, new or old, from doctors after medical checkups, and in general, from Berea Rotary. I asked her, "How can you balance doing what you love and your family?" As shocking as it was for me to learn, She never felt like having to choose between the two. In a sense, it was integrated. Thus, a valuable lesson that we learned from Mrs. Judith Stahl is that so long as each family works together, helps one another, and supports each other, anything is possible. Ultimately, Mrs. Judith Stahl demonstrates that we should never stop pursuing our passions, all the while keeping our principles intact. And now, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District to Mrs. Judith Stahl, a distinguished alumna of Berea High School, to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame. Let's give her a warm of applause.
You want to know about me? Well, I was born and raised in Berea. I'm a fourth generation Berean. Had great grandfather who worked in the stone quarries in Berea, and my grandfather was a Berea fireman, and my father was a photographer. So I attended Berea High School, graduated in class of '58, married shortly after I graduated to a policeman, and went to work at the Berea Police Department for 6 years as a dispatcher. And after that, we bought Spudnut Donuts, and we ran that for 34 years. My husband passed away in 1980, and I continued to run the business with my family's help. And then got involved with a lot of volunteer organizations. How was I going to find my passion? Well, because of my history in Berea, I joined the Berea Historical Society and worked with them on purchasing a home, which we now use as the Mahler Museum. It's a history museum, and I'm back there on the board, actually, after all these years, and enjoying that. In 1989, I was asked to join Rotary and was a member there for 30 years. When I join something, I last a long time, I guess. I enjoyed Rotary. I did a lot of work there with youth exchange, fundraising. We did a lot for polio, to eliminate polio from the world. And then I also joined the Berea Historical, I belonged to the Berea Historical Society. After that, I joined the Berea High Alumni Association, and I've been a member there for 20 years, and I serve on the board there now. So my passion is volunteerism, I guess is what I want to say. The history of Berea was important to me. When I was a high school senior, Dorothy McKelvey, who was Berea's historian, came and gave a talk about how to join the Historical Society, and it stuck with me because I was friends with her son, and I enjoyed belonging to the Historical Society. And soon after I joined, they called me up one day and asked me if I would run for president of the club, because I was the only person in the club who didn't walk without shuffling their feet. So I took on that job, and that's when I also got involved with the purchasing the house, the Buell House, as a museum. The students now are so far ahead of me. I was impressed with my lunch today with the students who attended with us. They're way ahead of where we were when I was their age. I envy that. I didn't have an opportunity to attend college, but I did take a lot of business courses when I was in high school. So I got a good background. I had some wonderful teachers. And I think the kids today are great. What would I say to young people growing up today? I guess I would advise them to get as much education as they can. Things have changed since I was their age, and I think an education is important. But actually, I don't think it's important for everyone. Not everyone is meant to attend college, but I do think that it's continuing education in one way or another is important. Renee, thank you for that introduction. It was a real pleasure getting to know you today at lunch. It's obvious you are a bright young woman, and I'm sure you will do well with your future endeavors. To have my name added to this list in this program of previous alumni inductees is such an honor. A list that includes doctors and entertainers and teachers and scientists, authors. Being involved with that is truly an honor for me. When I was preparing what I wanted to share with you tonight, I recalled a long-lost memory. I was probably around 17 when my father called me into the dining room one night and invited me to sit down at the table. Well, I figured I was probably in a lot of trouble for something. But that wasn't the case. He then brought up the fact that he was a member of the Knights of Columbus, and they were promoting life insurance. And he felt that it was time for me to have a life insurance policy, which I thought was a pretty silly idea. He assured me that this was something I needed, which meant don't argue with me, and that I was going to pay for it. I knew arguing about this was useless, so I asked him what it was going to cost me. You ready for this? 50 cents a week until it was paid for. Well, I figured since I was working a couple of part-time jobs at that time, I could afford that and maybe still have some cash left over to buy a 45 record or a pair of saddle shoes or maybe even a new poodle skirt. So I sat down with the insurance agent, signed the papers, and started making payments on that policy until it was paid off, which took a few years at that price. But then I started earning interest on that policy, and still do, because fortunately I haven't had to use that policy yet. I got to thinking about that policy and how it mirrored my education at Berea High. Since college was not an option for me at that time, I focused on my business courses, signed up for as many as I could, and did well. Those high school courses were my stepping stones to what my future held, and were guidelines to the project and leadership abilities I needed. And just as the interest on that insurance policy grew, my education at Berea High grew and helped me understand the business world and prepared me for my volunteer endeavors. And for that, I am most grateful. I must add that I do appreciate those teachers who guided me through those classes throughout my high school years. I hope you all enjoyed the photos I shared with you tonight. And I'd like to introduce my family. Would you like to give a wave? And friends, all my friends who are here? Nobody has a wave? Come on. That's better. Thank you all for coming. The photos I shared with you tonight are many of my old friends, business associates, and just pals. Thank you again for sharing this special moment with me, and I'd like to also congratulate my fellow honorees.
Our final presenter this evening is Corey Mitchell. Corey is a junior involved in speech and debate, student council, and yearbook club. She's also a National Honor Society. Please welcome Corey.
Thank you. Oh. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I think that's good. Today, I had the pleasure of having lunch with Mrs. Barbara Yonkin, who served 28 years in the Berea City School District. Mrs. Yonkin's list of achievements is quite long and quite impressive. Whether it be in her curriculum work or her teaching years, there are countless positive stories about her. But my favorite story came from before she was in the district. Mrs. Yonkin moved to Indiana after finishing college with her husband. It was there that she became a draftsperson. Not a draftsman, but a draftsperson. Every female employee was a secretary besides her when the team had to come in on a Saturday to finish up some work. A male colleague asked her, "Don't you do housework on the weekend?" Rightfully appalled, Mrs. Yonkin came back on Monday and placed cards all over the office that read, "A woman's place is in the House and in the Senate." If that doesn't tell you her character, I don't know what will. She radiates positive energy and brings kindness with her wherever she goes. She has not only embodied the definition of an amazing teacher, but she's also taught them. She mentored Mrs. Vicki Pison, who still teaches in the district, and shared with me that Mrs. Yonkin inspired her to care for young learners and help them recognize their talents, just as Mrs. Yonkin helped her recognize her own. It takes a truly amazing person to impact so many people and to do it so quickly. It was such an honor to sit next to this woman today. Thank you for inspiring not only young children to have confidence in math, not only young teachers to have confidence in their teaching, but also young women to have the same confidence as you. Mrs. Yonkin, a woman's place is in the House, the Senate, and the Hall of Fame. So ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I wish to present this plaque on behalf of the Berea City School District to Mrs. Barbara Yonkin, a distinguished honorary alumna, to be officially inducted into the Berea City School District Alumni Hall of Fame.
I started here at Ford Junior High in 1983, and I was there for the change to Ford Middle School. And then I went to Fairwood Elementary School, and I taught there. And then I went to River Edge Elementary School, and I taught there. From there, I became math coach for the district, and then moved into curriculum coordinator position, which is where I finished my career. My advice would be, first of all, to enjoy every day. This is a wonderful time of your life, and you may feel that it's extremely stressful, but trust me, it will be something you look back on and you think that was a great time. So enjoy every day. I also would say dream big. Don't put boundaries on yourself. Figure out what you really love and try to find something in that area that will spark your interest. Because when we do what we love what we do. High school is hard because that's over 50 years ago. But the things I do remember are the excellent teachers that gave me a direction, that showed me that teaching could be something I could do and would like to do. I also think learning that mathematics was my area of love, and so figuring that all out and seeing some of the model teachers that I had led me on this career path. I have to also say my third grade teacher modeled letting us take over once in a while, and I got to be in charge of the class for a little bit, and I loved that. So I have to give her some credit. But the opportunities are much more varied and much more available, I think, than they were when I was in high school. I took advantage of being in the band, being in the theater groups, being in clubs, specifically back then, Future Teachers of America, which I don't think even exists anymore. Those opportunities, I tried to invest myself in those. And so I also had church-related activities that I was involved with. So I think anything where you are interacting with others is great, especially people with a common interest. I didn't stay in one grade level or even one subject throughout my teaching career. I had various assignments over the years, and I think that's where I grew. I grew from being a classroom teacher, I grew into leadership, and I think taking advantage of the opportunities that I had, I learned how to write grants. I learned how to do things on a state level and even a national level, and all that learning provided me with more background to be a better teacher leader. I mean, there were lots of things I was interested in. And then when I was a junior and I had to start making a decision about college and where I wanted to go, I started thinking, what's my area of interest? And I actually wrote a letter. At the time I lived in Indiana, I wrote a letter to the State Department of Education, and I said, I'm looking at being a teacher. What advice would you give me as to a path I would take? And they came back with, if you can do math, go math. So that's kind of what started me on the path, but I have to say it was having good teachers, not only in high school, but also in college. I had some great teachers. Thank you, Corey, and to all of our young presenters tonight. Didn't they do a great job? Thanks. It's very sweet. Okay, I have the honor of being the last on the program. I also have the honor of dropping my speech notes somewhere, so if you found them, okay, I'm trying to remember what I had down there. And I also have the honor of speaking to a group that's kind of scary because I have my former students are here, I have my former principal here, I have coworkers here, and 2 of my former superintendents. That's a pretty tough audience in my book. So I hope we get through this. As I was thinking about this honor, which has humbled and overwhelmed me in many ways, I have to start thinking about who do I thank, and the list goes on and on and on. I will say, for those of you that have been around for a while, if you remember the name Ruth Weisbrod, and the name Terry Krivak, and the name Larry Payne, those 3 people got me my job in Berea, and it was the best thing that could have happened to me. It's been a wonderful journey in the Berea City Schools. If you know me very well, you know that I enjoy jigsaw puzzles. So as I was thinking about what to talk about tonight, I decided that I would use that as my theme. The pieces that you put together in a puzzle can be looked at from different perspectives. Sometimes they fit, sometimes they don't. The puzzle pieces in my puzzle started with my parents, who sacrificed so that I could go to college. I also had a puzzle piece of my siblings and my cousins, who I would make them play school because I knew I was going to be a teacher and they better behave because I wanted to play school. And then, of course, my dear husband and my son, who put up with all the nights that I graded papers and tried to come up with good lesson plans. I have a piece of the puzzle of my teachers that I had in high school, and also the teachers that I have come to know and love here in Berea City Schools. I have a piece of coworkers, people who were not necessarily teachers, but all those people that are important in education, all the support people. And Miss Dolly, I remember Dolly because she always had a smile on her face. So people like that impact who you are. I also got to know a lot of different kinds of leaders in the school, leaders at the state level, leaders at the regional level, and I appreciate what I could learn from those leaders, and they were models for me and encouraged me to move on. So as I think about those pieces, one of them is my faith, and I mention that tonight because it's very important to me, and it is an important piece of my puzzle. The pieces that we have are made up of the experiences that we have over the years, the decisions that we've made, the choices that we've made, the books we've read, the art we've looked at, the art we've admired, the actions that we take. You get the idea of all the things that come together to make your puzzle. However, the pieces don't fit without the people who have touched our lives. And tonight I would like to say best wishes to the young people here as you collect the pieces of your puzzle. And also thank you to all who have helped put my puzzle together. Thank you for this. I'm truly overwhelmed. Thank you.
I would like to please ask all the honorees to come forward, along with the student presenters, for a couple of group pictures right up front here. So if you'll come up here now, student presenters as well as all of our inductees. We'll take a few different pictures, probably all the presenters together, inductees together, and then whatever our photographer here, Mr. Kavanaugh, does for us. While they're coming up here, I'll ask everyone to join with me one last time in celebrating the 2023 inductees of the Berea City School District's Distinguished Alumni Hall of Fame.
You did a really good job. Thank you so much.